Okay, it is time for the Bob Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay Along for the Ride podcast. We got a lot of work to do, and the theme of this show is early returns on the young NBA season. And we're going to start with a team that is near and dear to our heart, at least for me. I know you two are journalists, and that is the Boston Celtics. Off to a great start, Bob Ryan. But last night, as I'm watching the Patriots game, I go, oh, they got the Bulls. This is a piece of cake. And then I flip back and I go, what the hell happened? So 3-1, Tatum's player of the week, early assessment of the C's.
Well, you don't want to overreact to anything, so let's start with the debacle last night. Right. I don't want to overreact, but the troubling thing was that the two centers for Chicago combined for 35 rebounds, Vucevic and Drummond.
So that's the Achilles heel. We could say that. That is the Achilles heel.
We worried, this team without Robert Williams was going to have a different look, and this could be an issue. So whether it was rebounding, but something in the middle, put it that way. In this case, last night it was rebounding per se. We love what we saw the first three games in general terms, from both collectively and individually. I don't want to overreact, but it's a little. Worrisome. And now the Bulls should have been better. The Bulls got some players, I think.
They don't have a point guard. That's the problem. If they had Lonzo Ball, we saw what they were early last season when they were whole. But without a point guard, I just don't think they're going to be consistent enough without Lonzo.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that. But they'll have nights when they'll be good.
They will. Yes.
Hasanu, apparently owns the Celtics for some strange reason.
Yeah, I shot the hell out of it. I mean,
yeah. But anyway, I'm generally pleased. That was disturbing. A 37-point turnaround is always a little jarring. They're up 19 and lost by 18. But I'm not going to overreact to that. I'm generally pleased with what we've seen. And of course, Tatum in general, he was a player of the week. We discussed him endlessly in the offseason. How would he react to the fall, the problems of the finals and the fallout and the criticism, and the early returns are he's reacted in a very positive way.
Well, this is how I feel. I love the team. I love the team because obviously they're picking up where they left off last year. We all knew that the middle was going to be a problem, Jeff. So to me, right now, the pressure is on Brad. Because if Rob Williams doesn't pan out, then it's Brad's job to get a big. Just somebody that can get rebounds. He doesn't have to score.
Where are you going to find that big?
No, I don't know. But I think, Jeff, there's no question. But this is on Brad right now. And listen,
what
Brad
are you
Stevens has done a really good job.
Sam Hauser? You're going to dangle Sam Hauser for a big?
But you got to find somebody, right? I mean,
I'm with you. But the only way they could get a big is giving up. I mean, honestly, it's probably trading Marcus Smart. Like that would be it, right? Because Brogdon, you're not going to move Brogdon. Derek White doesn't have enough value for his contract. He's making $18 million a year. You're not getting anything for Derek White. So you'd have to trade Marcus Smart and picks in order to get another big. I think they're going to wait it out, hope to, as Bob told us when he talked to Brad, and he didn't use, these weren't Brad's words, but, tread water to some degree, right? Like you're not going to be the dominant team in the NBA without Robert Williams, as we've seen already, because you'll have your nights where you lose to teams, and everybody does for the most part. So you got to just tread water without Rob. Can you get, if you play 40 games without him, let's say you play half the year without him right now, can you go 25 and 15? If you do, and you get him back healthy, all is well in the world with Celtic land.
Well,
then you love your team.
Yeah, and this is the fan in me right now, Bob. If Rob Williams is healthy for the playoffs, they're going to win the whole damn thing. Because the way this team has come out, but we've seen it. And again, fanboy Tanguay, I'm not being paid by any.
Let's turn back the clock, Bob, a year ago for fanboy Tanguay. I hate this team. I hate this team so much.
It's true, though. But can you understand why?
Yes. I felt the same way.
Yeah. I mean, it's so
we all did.
Jeff. But boy, I mean, Robert, if the way when Rob Williams can play, if he's healthy, and with the way these guys have started and the bench, look out. I think they can win the whole damn thing.
Well, they can, but I'm not going so far as to say that if you felt they're going to. There's too much legitimate competition right here in the East, I still think. And I'll start off with the fact that if Middleton had played, I'm not so sure they would have beaten. I'm not at all sure they would have beaten the Bucks.
I agree, but I think this is a different team this year. I think
all right, fine. But I'm happy.
Deeper.
And it's the same Milwaukee team adding Chris Middleton and when Connaughton get healthy.
Well, all right. So I got a little carried away. You guys just kind of.
I'm very happy to see it play out. I mean, they're going to be I expect them to be in the mix and to be a very, very viable contender. It's as far as I'm going to go. I'm a little cautious about that. I just have to.
Listen, what I love is the efficiency that Jason Tatum had, because he really got off to a poor start last year in terms of not finishing around the basket. Obviously, everybody, it was a train wreck the first half of last year. He is so efficient right now through the first 4 games. He's been fantastic. The only thing that really hasn't been there as much is his passing on display. But you don't need it now with Malcolm Brogdon. That's the beauty of it. Now you can tell Jason Tatum, you can be more of a scorer because we've added a facilitator. And Derek White is more comfortable after being with the team for half a year. He can facilitate. Horford obviously is playing more minutes. He facilitates from can almost like he doesn't have to give you 5 or 6 assists, but he can.
All right, let's move on to Philadelphia right now. So the Sixers, Jeff, what's your theory on them? They're 1-3 at the time of this recording. Again, early returns, your thoughts?
I mean, listen, my thoughts are James Harden's motivated right now. He's motivated. He's playing great. My biggest question is still the rest of their team. As much as I'm not worried about 1-3. If Harden is the old Harden, which I'm not sure he's going to be that for the length of the season, but if you got him and Embiid, you got a chance. I think everybody is kind of too infatuated by Tyrese Maxey, and he could score. And now you've got a couple of guys. You know, they added DeAnthony Melton. PJ Tucker can't score. We know that. He's great defensively. Like PJ Tucker is at his best right now to me if you're playing him 18, 20 minutes a game and he's coming off the bench. But if you got to play him 30 minutes a game, which they're doing, and again, you go with Tobias hasn't been great. I just think they're a second-tier Eastern Conference contending type team. They're not in Milwaukee and Boston stratosphere right now, even with Harden getting off to such a hot start.
It's interesting, his comment after last night's victory was I felt going into the game we were 0-82, felt more like instead of 0-3. But he is playing well. There's no doubt. I'm not a big fan of his game, but the fact is he's playing very well, and I'm a member, as you well know. I do have my card to prove I'm a member of the Tyrese Maxey fan club. So
love him.
I'm a little bit miffed by your dismissal.
I like him, but I like him. I'm not saying I don't like him. My biggest problem with Maxey is what else does he do for you other than score? And that's where I think he's great coming off the bench in the second unit, really, ultimately, for a team that could contend and get to an NBA Finals or win the whole thing. To me, Tyrese Maxey is like Lou Williams.
Well, that's okay. If you want, I won't argue that right now. I just think I just happen to like him. That's good. Well, hey, that would be a career worthy of note.
I'm not saying he's not good.
That's for sure.
Saying right now, I just think they're kind of missing a piece. Whatever it is, they got Embiid, they got Harden, they got Maxey. Tobias has just been average. And then, to be honest, you got some other guys, PJ Tucker, who can't score.
No, we know, we all understand what his real value is, and I agree with you. You have to. You don't want to overplay him, no. But he does have a value. He's been a winning player doing what he does, and that's that. I agree with the assessment of them. They're a little bit below that level. So a team I'm intrigued with. I'm not saying they're that great. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm intrigued with them because of the personnel, and that is the Knicks. I'm intrigued.
Look, they got Bob. The Knickerbockers got Bob intrigued.
I'm intrigued. Yeah. First of all, as you know, I am a complete Brunson suck up. So that's number one.
He's the best.
But it's not just that. I think Toppin. They're intriguing. I think they have a chance to. Now, remember, 2 years ago it was very nice, and then last year fell apart. I think it's going to be more like 2 years ago for them. I think they're going to be tough out a lot of nights.
Yeah, I think they could get in. I mean, again, here's what you got. The second tier is still something of Philly, Miami, who's 1-3. Philly's 1-3. So they both, and again, you can't put any stock into the start of the season. Last year, the Wizards got off to a great start, and everybody thought they were going to, they had turned it. So Philly, Miami, who else would you put in that top tier?
Well, we looked at Cleveland in the offseason and thought that they made a good move and that they were going to move up, and we'll have to see. And then, of course, the mystery guest every single night is in Brooklyn, New York. So
would you say Milwaukee, Boston, tier A, tier B, Philly, Miami, tier C, some sort of Cleveland, Nets, and then Knicks, Atlanta, Toronto? All those?
No, Atlanta, it's another one. Atlanta is lurking in the weeds. They had their little run a couple of years ago, and it felt, you have to respect Trae Young. But you don't worry about them. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
No. I think ultimately that the team that is the team that we always focus on. What they're going to be is the Nets. It's just going to be very odd. What do you make of the early returns on Simmons?
Look better, feel better with AG1 Athletic Greens. It costs $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all different supplements yourself. You're investing in all-in-one nutritional insurance recommended by professional athletes. Check out Athletic Greens. Better sleep, better recovery, better physical fitness, better mental clarity. So check it out. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So check out Athletic Greens. That's athleticgreens.com/hoops to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Okay, next on the docket was indeed the Nets. So here you have Simmons back. He's fouled out in 2 out of 3 games. Yeah. So let's pick up where Bob left off. Jeff, your thoughts?
He's still shaking the rust off. I mean, let's face it. He missed all last year. We got to give him a little bit of a mulligan for the first month of the season. And I don't think it's fair to judge him or the Nets early. Now, the one thing he still does is he still passes the hell out of the ball. He rebounds well for his position. What he's not doing right now is he's not guarding like he had prior to the injury. That's the biggest thing for me is he's got to be that elite defender because they're so bad defensively. They're such a poor defensive team. KD can be good when he wants to be. Kyrie's atrocious. We know that. Some of these other guys, Joe Harris can't really guard. Patty Mills, not great defensively. So they got a lot of minus defenders, as I call them. They need Ben Simmons to be an elite defender, and he's just not there yet. I don't care if he shoots the ball. I know everybody's still yelling about that. They've got enough scorers, shooters on this team. They don't need him to take threes. They really don't. Would it be great if he did? Sure. It's probably not going to happen. Certainly not right away. I think it's going to take some time if that happens. So to me, he's got to be the elite defender that he was, and he's not there yet.
It's pretty evident. It's never going to change with him. His game is going to be his game. He's not going to alter it. He's had enough time to prove it to the world that he's not interested in changing, and that's that. So he presents this unusual package, one of the most intriguing, odd players of consequence in the history of the league, frankly, and because this is such a lopsided game. There's a long way to go. No way to know how they're going to turn out. Joe Harris is back. Curry is not there yet, but they could some night in the future they might go for 150. I mean it. Some night, So that
could 152.
Yeah, that could happen. By the way, there's another team that you must respect, and that's Toronto. That they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They know what they're doing, and
they're professionals.
Right, they're limited, but they know what they're doing.
Do they have a star to take them over the top?
No, probably not. But they can get to the Eastern Conference like if everything went right or went wrong for other teams and they're healthy, you could see them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock you.
Well, so just don't ever sleep on them. That's all I'm saying on that. All right, let's get out to the other conference. And you don't want to
Utah, Portland.
Well, there's a team 4-0 that I'm interested in, but there's a player on that team, Damian Lillard, who I voted in the top 75. I don't know, and it was one of my last selections, but I got him in there. Attention had to be paid. He's coming off back-to-back 40s. Yeah. He's absolutely at the peak of his, prime of his life.
He's one of my favorite players. He's one of my favorite players, and he's stuck in East. West. Portland.
Yeah.
Way out there.
Yeah. But one of the most underrated players in the league is Vucevic. I mean, Jokic. Excuse me, Jokic.
Nurkic. You're confusing your international.
I'm trying to get all my Middle European big guys. I need to have a roster in front of me when I speak to get them all straight. Nurkic, thank you. Nurkic, not as opposed to Jokic or Vucevic. They're all good, but this guy doesn't get the credit, the stature that others have. But he's a pretty good player, and he's night in, night out. He's putting up numbers. And he did last night.
Well, they got a young kid, Anthony Simons.
Yeah.
Who I remember, I don't even know what was his background to why. But you know who was raving? Maybe he committed to Louisville. He might have committed to Louisville because Rick Pitino, back when I actually got along with Rick Pitino a little bit and we were on speaking terms. We're not anymore.
And that's when he was at Providence?
And no, we were okay until the whole thing happened with Strippergate at Louisville, and I was at ESPN. And, I think, listen, what I always said, and I'll continue to say, is like, whether you knew or not about Strippergate happening at the dorms down the road, you should have known. Either way, you knew and you covered it up, or you didn't know and you should have known, Rick. And I'll still stand by that. So anyway, Anthony Simons, Pitino told me was an absolute stud when he committed to Louisville. And he was right. This kid's kind of gives Lillard the help that he lost with CJ McCollum.
Yeah.
And now they got Jeremy Grant. Like you said, they got Nurkic and Winslow and Josh Hart. They got like some good players, like some good multi-dimensional, wings that you need in the league right now. And then they got another one coming up that I love. I don't know how much we talked about him, but a kid named Shaedon Sharp, who's a rookie. Yeah, didn't play at Kentucky last year. He's from Canada, 6'4", electric. It's going to take time for him. He hasn't really been coached at all. But they got some good young players. They could use one more big, to me. That's the one thing that Portland's been lacking for years is that big, and I think it'll catch up with them.
Can they make any noise in the West?
For people,
I don't think so.
Well, don't know. Simons had 6 threes in the third quarter last night. And
yeah, he's talented. I just think, again, without a long athletic big, they're going to be in trouble. It'll catch up with them.
They have another one of those know how to play guys, and that's Josh Hart.
Yep, that's right.
Solid. This guy.
Hey, all your know how to play guys, where do they come out of?
They come out of the main line, Route 30, US 30, coming out of Philadelphia. Yeah. There's a school there with a V, right? That one? Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
What about Utah? I mean, are they pretenders or contenders?
Oh, they're pretenders.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, is Danny Ainge looking at them at 3-1 and saying, shit, what are we doing? Like, I put the worst team I could out there, and we're 3-1. Like, he watched Victor Wembanyama play Scoot Henderson, and he's saying, like, we got to get one of these dudes. And he's accumulating all these draft picks. And there's some people that think that they might take on Russell Westbrook's expiring contract. They might take on his $45 million this year in order to get like 2 more unprotected picks from the Lakers, which wouldn't be a bad move. I mean, think about it. If you're Danny Ainge, you take that contract if you're going to get 2 more picks that could be lottery picks. Who knows with the way the Lakers are playing right now? I would do it. Depends what you got to give back. But if you had to give back Mike Conley, for instance, right? Conley for Westbrook, and you get 2 first rounders, I'd do that in a heartbeat. And then I tell Russ, you know what? Don't even bother taking a flight to Salt Lake. Stay home, wherever home is. Stay home, and you know what? We're good without you. We're good without you.
No, that's a very interesting theory. Well, I don't know.
Well, it's a good trade for both, right? The Lakers, you get Mike Conley. He's at the end of his career too, but Mike Conley knows how to play. He's a pass-first guy who could still give him a whole lot more than Russell Westbrook is giving him right now, which is what? Shooting 25% from the field and 8% from three?
Well, yeah, and the Lakers have to do something, right? I mean, the Lakers are in 14th place. And again, early returns. But
what do you do, Bob? What do you do with the Lakers?
I mean, you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and you're in 14th place.
I mean, it's a terrible roster. I'm sorry. After the two guys, they got two. We all know they got two guys. Then draw a line. You can trapdoor the whole rest of the roster and replace them with guys at the law school league right now, I think, and they would be just as well up.
Okay, Bob, here's my question. We take a look at all the dynasties in the past, right? And you take a look at Jordan, and the theory was, okay, well, I mean, you just put a team around Jordan and you win championships. I don't know if we would say that about Bird and Magic, but with LeBron in Cleveland, I mean, how much help did he have? And he was able to raise everybody up. So is it that LeBron's too old? Is it that Anthony Davis isn't as good as we thought? Or did we overrate the great player being able to carry anybody?
No, I'm not sure. That's a great question. These are all wonderful questions. I'm just trying to think back to your original premise about the Bulls. They were painstakingly assembled with excellent auxiliary parts by Jerry Krause, who, of course, didn't get the credit he deserved for that, for their original run. And, the drafting of Pippen, the maneuvering to get him, Harvest Grant, some of the pickups he made were all Cartwright, who I laughed at and I was wrong. Okay. So just, all right. No, I'm just saying, okay. And LeBron, what he won in Cleveland the first time was certainly very impressive when you look back in retrospect. Okay. No question. Right now, though, I don't know. I just think this team is just, after those two guys, who do you want?
Well, how about this, fellas? I think the great thing about the league right now, and Jeff, I'll let you respond to this first, and Bob can jump in. Again, I'm just going off the top of my head. I think the league has become more balanced. We have talked about it. There are a lot of great players. You just mentioned like Trae Young, right? Trae Young went off his rookie season. Now he's been down a little bit, but that kid's a great player. Ja Morant, we've talked about him. They're a great player. Portland, Damian Lillard. There are great players all around the league. So I don't know if you can be dominant anymore, Jeff, with like one or two great players as you could in the past.
Well, it's shown that you need a better supporting cast now, right? You can't have a garbage supporting cast, and that's kind of what the Lakers have right now. You got to have good second, like right now, even Philly's second unit struggling a little bit, and you're seeing that. You need quality depth, at least to 8. You don't need 10, but you need 8. They have 2. Lonnie Walker is their third best player. Lonnie Walker wouldn't play on a bunch of teams. Like he'd play 8 minutes for the Celtics, maybe. He's the third best player for the Lakers right now. So they're in trouble. And like you said, listen, young LeBron might have been able to carry this team in his prime LeBron. This 37, whatever he is, year old LeBron can't do that.
And you can be fooled by the fact that he's putting up some numbers that look very, very typical, but his shooting percentage is off, and he's, right. It's. Funny.
I always say somebody has to get numbers on shitty teams. Somebody. It's LeBron now. That's the crazy part. We never thought it would be LeBron James to put up like empty numbers, but that's kind of what they've been.
Well, they're. I remember years and years and years ago, I always thought the Lakers would never be bad. They just couldn't ever be bad. And then they did get bad, and now they're bad. Now they're on the verge of being awful, and so it's got to be a real trauma out there.
All right, guys, as we wrap up the show, all the pressure now is on Jeff Goodman, because Jeff, my good friend, Bob Ryan, read my book, okay? He read my book, okay, Jeff? That's what I'm saying. He read my book, okay? And like the rest of us who read it, he has a crush on Rocky Suarez, as I do when I wrote her, okay? So no pressure, Jeff. I've known you a long time. I consider you a friend. Do I, Bob? I mean, Bob came through and
I got to get through this first. First.
Don't give me that. Don't give me
All
that.
Right? And it's going to take a little while to get through the almanac. Look at it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. And Bob can tell you about my book. It's taken him longer to read brochures than it was to read this one.
All right. You have my word. I will read it on a plane somewhere. I will try to read it this year.
But I will say this.
What I can't do is put this next on a plane and start flipping through it, because the person next to me will be very upset.
All I can say is Bob was very complimentary. And Jeff, I think you and I can both attest that it is a thrill to work with Bob Ryan, a guy that we read and worshiped growing up. And when a writer like Bob Ryan compliments your work, it's a really big deal. So, gentlemen, on that note, thank you. And we will talk to you again next week.
This episode of the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast is brought to you by Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase.